There's a reason 16th century shipbuilders were seen almost as magicians. They were taking raw timber, living material that rots, swells, splits and warps, and sending it into some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Saltwater is relentless. It creeps into pores, crystallizes as it dries, shreds fibers from within, and invites a whole ecosystem of marine borers. Yet the ships of the age of exploration survived years at sea, sometimes decades, crossing climates and enduring storms that would tear apart any untreated wood today. What kept them together wasn't luck or blind tradition. It was chemistry, heat, and a precise understanding of how wood behaves when exposed to water, resin, and oil. The methods were often kept secret within guilds and coastal communities, but the principles behind them are clear enough now to understand, and even replicate on a small scale today, if you know the steps. Shipwrights began by choosing wood that accepted resin and oil, rather than fighting it. Oak was prized because its pores tighten when soaked, locking in preservatives. Pine and fir were used where a lighter hull was needed because they absorb tar deeply, binding their soft grain into something far more resilient. And because saltwater is both a preservative and a destroyer, depending on exposure, shipbuilders selected wood that expanded enough to seal joints, but not enough to deform under constant wet-dry cycling. A modern application of this principle would be choosing open-grain woods for deep impregnation treatments. If someone builds a dock beam or seawall component, fir will accept resin coatings more readily than a dense tropical hardwood. The key lesson from the 16th century is that protection begins with selecting wood that works with your treatment, not against it. The first major barrier was tar, produced from slow-burning pine in oxygen-limited pits. Before industrial distillation, tar wasn't bought, it was crafted. European tar burners used deep pits filled with pine roots and stumps, slowly heated while starved of oxygen. As the wood decomposed, resin distilled out in thick, smoky streams. This tar had a unique combination of waterproofing ability, hardness, and flexibility. When shipwrights brushed hot tar into planking, the wood absorbed just enough to seal its surface, while leaving a durable film that resisted abrasion and saltwater crystallization. One practical way to apply this today is through a simplified version of the process. While you wouldn't dig a traditional tar pit, you can heat pine tar gently and apply it while warm to fence posts, boat lumber, or exterior beams. As the tar cools, it bonds into a membrane similar to what shipbuilders used to protect hulls from constant wave strikes. During the height of the age of sail, whale oil wasn't just lamp fuel, it was an industrial material. In shipyards, they would mix boiled whale oil with pine tar to create a thinner, more penetrating coating. The oil actually soaked right into the wood fibres, and well, it stayed semi-fluid within the grain for years. This flexibility was absolutely essential, because ships constantly expanded and contracted as they crossed different climates. The oil helped prevent brittleness while also delivering natural antimicrobial effects that really slowed decay. These days, some modern woodworkers manage to achieve similar results by using boiled linseed oil as a carrier for tar or resin. Heating the mixture, by the way, allows for much deeper penetration. So, the same steps apply today. You warm the mixture, brush it on heavily, let the wood absorb it, and, well, follow with a second coat once the initial layer settles. This, you see, mimics the penetration patterns that made historical hulls so remarkably resilient. The tar and oil layers protected the grain, but shipwrights knew the outermost coating needed to withstand friction from ropes, anchors, sand, and, of course, those persistent marine organisms. For this, they use concoctions of pine resin beeswax and mineral additives. Heated together, these formed a thick protective glaze. When applied to warm wood, the mixture fused into a hydrophobic shell that resisted saltwater infiltration. It wasn't just a sealant, it became part of the hull's texture. Historical accounts describe crews recoating the hull during careening sessions by heating the resin mixture on shore and applying it while the ship lay tilted on its side. The resin hardened into a glossy black or amber finish, depending on the recipe. This technique is still useful today for structures exposed to intense moisture. A blend of natural resin and beeswax, warmed and brushed onto prepared wood, forms a durable finish ideal for outdoor furniture, tool handles, and even beehive exteriors where chemical finishes would be harmful. Now, this was the step most people overlook, you know. Once the coatings were applied, the wood was heat-cured. Sometimes this simply meant leaving the timber out under direct sunlight on a warm day. In northern yards, though, shipwrights used heated iron plates or charcoal braziers held near the surface. Not to scorch the wood, but rather to open the pores just a bit, so the coating could settle deeper before solidifying. This slow curing, well, it stabilized the tar-oil resin matrix, and really that's what gave hulls their long-term resistance. Anyone applying similar methods today can, replicate heat curing with just simple tools. After brushing on the final coat, warming the surface gently with a heat gun, well, it helps the resin flow and lock into the grain. The goal is moderation, just like the shipwrights practiced. These 16th century techniques show that wood only fails when it is left unprotected. The combination of pore-filling oils, surface-sealing resins, and heat curing produced a multi-layered defense system that modern synthetic coatings try, but often fail, to replicate. What made these historical methods so effective was that they treated the wood from within and without. The interior became flexible and rot-resistant through oils, and the exterior became armoured through resin and tar. Saltwater no longer had a path in. If you want more historically grounded preservation methods and deep dives into forgotten building technologies, subscribe to Relic Logic and share this guide with others who appreciate research-based craftsmanship and time-tested engineering.